Welcome to the deep dive. You sent us your sources, and well, we're here to dig into them and pull out what really matters, just for you.
Mm-hmm.
Today, we're diving into David Goggins's Can't Hurt Me, specifically some key excerpts.
That's right. And our mission really isn't just to list facts about his life.
No, not at
We're
all.
trying to get to the root of it, the origins of that mindset he's so famous for.
Mm-hmm.
The mental toughness, the resilience. Where did that start?
Exactly. What were those early moments, those experiences that really shaped him?
And these pieces cover quite a bit his childhood in Buffalo, New York, that complicated family situation with his father.
Yeah, definitely turbulent.
Then the move to Indiana, grappling with who he was, struggling in school. It's all in there.
Okay, so let's jump in. The first chapter title alone sets the scene, doesn't it? I should have been a statistic.
It really does. He paints this picture of Williamsville, New York, around 1981.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds idyllic, right?
Yeah.
The American dream, nice houses, safe streets.
Right, everything you'd imagine.
But then there's his reality, literally just around the corner, on a street ironically named Paradise Road. It was completely different.
A stark contrast.
And right at the heart of it was Skateland, the family's roller rink.
Ah, Skateland.
On the surface, maybe it looked like, this fun family business. A dream cloud, as he puts it.
Yeah, but the reality.
Was quite different. He was just a little kid, needed a step stool to even reach the counter to rent out skates.
Wow.
His mom was stuck at the cash register all the time. And the vibe, well, it sounds like it was buzzing disco, funk, early hip-hop.
He mentions Rick James, Funkadelic, Run DMC.
Yeah, and apparently big names actually showed up. Rick James, O.J. Simpson, Teddy Pendergrass, Sister Sledge. They all came through.
So this vibrant, almost glamorous scene on one level.
But underneath, it was all controlled by his father, Turnus. He held all the money. David and his mom worked constantly, but saw none of it. No pay.
That power dynamic is huge, isn't it? His mother had zero financial independence.
Zero. And you got to wonder, right? Experiencing that lack of control, maybe even exploitation, so young, how does that fuel someone later on?
You mean driving that intense need for self-control, self-determination that Goggins is known for?
Exactly. It makes you think about your own early experiences, doesn't it? What things maybe pushed you towards wanting independence?
Definitely. And that control wasn't just financial, was it? It bled into their home life.
Oh, absolutely. He talks about feeling the vibrations from the office below the dance floor, this constant reminder, but also darker stuff, the smell of scotch, seeing his mom crying.
And the fear. He describes it so vividly.
The loaded gun.
That's chilling. Finding a loaded gun under his sleeping cushion when he was only 6 years old. And the way his father handled it, just disturbing.
And alongside that danger, bags of cash, just sitting there. Nearly $10,000. It paints a picture of just complete unpredictability.
Constant tension. How does a kid process that?
It's hard to imagine. And that tension, sadly, it boiled over into violence.
Yeah, he recounts one specific awful incident.
His father beating him with a belt and his mother hitting the panic button. Desperate.
But the police...
They basically did nothing. Goggins says, no #MeToo back then. His father just brushed it off as necessary domestic discipline.
Unbelievable. No support, no intervention.
It really leaves you feeling how vulnerable they were, that isolation, that sense of having to deal with it yourself. It must have solidified then.
And even after that, his father's anger didn't just vanish. And his brother, Turnus Jr., had this really complicated relationship with him. Fear and admiration mixed together.
Which sets the stage for them leaving.
That moment, Goggins just realizing, we gotta go, Mom. It's just
Yeah.
a simple, powerful line.
And then the escape itself. Middle of the night, his mom is hysterical, calls this woman Betty from a gas station somewhere.
Outside Erie, Pennsylvania, right?
Yeah, middle of nowhere. The car breaks down, his mom's panicking. I have to go back.
Oh, man.
But Betty on the phone is just calm. Takes control, gets someone to bring oil, tells him where to find a Volvo dealer, finds him a hotel room.
Even though the Holiday Inn was fully booked.
Right. She gets the night manager to let them sleep in the conference room. Can you picture them? Just standing there, holding their clothes in black trash bags.
Starting over with absolutely nothing.
But his mom, even then, Goggins describes her staying awake all night, watching their bikes, watching the road. That resilience.
Incredible strength in the midst of chaos. So they make it to Indiana, life changes completely.
Totally. Counting pennies for groceries, paying bills. His mom, Mrs. Turnus Jr., who stayed behind, but David starts adjusting, makes friends.
And he mentioned something interesting. His bedwetting, which had been a problem, just stopped when they got to Indiana.
That says a lot, doesn't it? About the stress he was under before.
Yeah, like a physical release of that constant anxiety.
But Indiana wasn't exactly a smooth ride either, especially at school. He runs into this teacher, Mizzy D.
Right, not a positive experience.
No, she apparently lacked empathy, yelled a lot. School had been his safe place back in Buffalo, but now,
He called it a torture chamber.
yeah. And initially, the school administration backed her up.
But his mom fought for him.
She did. Got him in to see a speech therapist, even group therapy for a bit.
Though he didn't last long there.
Huh. Yeah, he says something like, these boys are crazy. 2 sessions, and he was out.
But the key contrast was between Mrs. D and another teacher, Sister Catherine.
Huge difference.
Yeah.
Mrs. D was just frustrated. But Sister Catherine, she had high expectations, but also believed genuinely that everybody learns in a different way.
That must have been so important, seeing that someone believed in finding a way for him to learn.
Definitely. And maybe those contrasting experiences helped shape his later ideas about perseverance, about finding your own path.
Which leads us to this core concept he introduces, the bad hand.
Yeah, he's very clear. Life dealt him a bad hand, no doubt about it. But ultimately,
It was on him to deal with it.
exactly. His responsibility. He kind of dismisses external motivation here, calls it crap, just a temporary fix.
Because it doesn't last.
Right. Real change, lasting change, has to come from inside. He starts talking about going to war with yourself.
That's a powerful phrase. Intense.
It is. And the first step in that war, according to Goggins, it's brutally honest.
The inventory.
Yeah, writing down every single excuse, all those very good reasons, as he puts it, why you shouldn't succeed.
He even suggests sharing it, using hashtags or just keeping it private.
The point is the confrontation. You write them down, you face them, you take away their power. It's about owning your starting point, however rough.
And using that past difficulty not as an anchor, but as fuel.
Precisely. It's radical self-awareness, unflinching honesty. Have you ever done anything like that? A really raw self-assessment?
It's confronting. Which brings us nicely to the next chapter, titled Truth Hurts.
And this introduces someone new, Wilmoth Irving. He represented hope for Goggins' mother.
A new beginning.
Yeah, the plan was for them to move in with him in Indianapolis in the summer of '89. He wasn't rich like Goggins' father, but he seemed genuine, offered a chance at a better life. They were looking forward to it.
But that hope, it didn't last.
No. Tragically short-lived. The day after Christmas, Wilmoth died suddenly.
He was so abrupt. Goggins mentions being invited to play basketball with him, then it getting canceled.
And then the news. Wilmoth's father found him dead in the garage. He was only 43.
Goggins' reaction. Pure rage, punching the fridge. You can feel the built-up emotion.
And imagine his mother. She saw Wilmoth as her savior, her chance at stability, finally, and then gone. Just like that.
Devastating. And the circumstances were murky, too, weren't they?
Very. His mother couldn't believe it at first. Then she remembered he'd actually been shot a couple of months earlier.
Wow, she hadn't known the severity.
Apparently not. Or maybe denial. The police looked into it, talked about maybe a shady business deal or drugs, but it was never solved.
And Goggins, just 14, ends up walking through the crime scene.
Yeah, yellow tape pool of blood in the garage. He just wanders through. The lack of anyone stopping him, watching out for him in that moment, it's unsettling. Shows a kind of neglect amidst the chaos.
Amidst all this trauma, he's also really floundering academically.
Big time. He's totally honest about just cheating his way through Cathedral High School, copying work, anything to pass.
Yet somehow, he still makes the freshman basketball team.
Yeah, it highlights that weird disconnect, right? Athletically capable, but an academic fraud, as he calls himself.
That couldn't last, though.
No, the cost of Cathedral was too much, especially with everything else going on. His mom pulled him out after a year.
So then he transfers to North Central High, big public school.
Huge. Like 4,000 kids, mostly black neighborhood, and he shows up feeling completely out of place.
The preppy-ass white boy.
His words. He felt he had to use basketball just to not get totally ridiculed. He put on this cocky front.
But inside.
Deeply insecure. We've all done that, right?
Yeah.
Put on a brave face when you're feeling completely unsure of yourself.
Definitely. And he realized, didn't he, that just changing schools wasn't fixing the real issues.
Yeah, he says something profound there. In order to change, you have to work through shit. You can't just move locations.
So true. His return to Brazil, Indiana, for basketball tryouts really drove that home.
The culture clash was immediate, especially around shit-talking on the court. What was normal in Indy wasn't in Brazil.
And the coaches didn't get it, moved him to a position he didn't know.
Yeah, front court. It just chipped away more at his confidence. External changes weren't enough. The internal stuff was still there.
And then came that horrifying racist incident.
Ugh, yeah. Walking with a friend, a pickup truck, the slur yelled, "Niggers,"
Find someone getting out with a gun.
a pistol. Just terrifying. A stark reminder of the kind of overt hate he was facing that leaves a mark.
Absolutely. And his whole approach to high school in Brazil reflects that internal struggle, especially with literacy.
He admits just hiding, back rows, never participating, gaming myself, he calls it, trying to mask the fact he couldn't really read well.
It's a survival tactic, but one that holds you back.
Exactly. That avoidance creates its own negative loop.
Until his mother confronts him.
Yeah, not with anger this time, but
Yeah.
exhaustion. He saw how worn down she was by his poor grades, his skipping school.
And that conversation, her exhaustion, it sparked something.
The turning point? The accountability mirror.
That's such a key Goggins concept.
It really is. He's in the shower, sees his reflection in the steam, and just lets loose on himself. Brutal honesty.
Acknowledging the bad hand, yes, but emphasizing.
Nobody is coming to save your ass. That line. It's raw. It's the moment he decides to take total ownership.
And it becomes this ritual, right? This tool he uses.
For everything. Grades, fitness, getting into the Air Force. It started right there. No more self-pity, just radical self-accountability.
He saw how cheating was just keeping him stuck.
Yeah, that negative feedback loop. It prevents any real learning, any real growth. You have to face the hard truths.
He uses that analogy, doesn't he? Someone hating their job but staying out of fear.
Calls it living like a pussy. It's harsh language, but the point is clear. Avoiding discomfort keeps you trapped.
Even about the racism in Brazil, he stresses admitting uncomfortable truths.
And this is where he starts intentionally seeking discomfort. Brainwashing himself into craving discomfort, he says.
Running in the rain, the snow.
And using that accountability mirror constantly to reinforce it. Push harder. Face it. Don't back down. Have you ever tried deliberately making things harder for yourself?
It's counterintuitive, but maybe powerful, which leads to his second challenge for people.
Yeah, challenge number 2. It's all about using that accountability mirror yourself.
Grab Post-it notes.
And be brutally honest. Write down your insecurities, your dreams, your goals. Stick them right there on the mirror.
And you have to be tough on yourself, right? Develop thicker skin.
He says be unkind with yourself in that moment. Not cruel, but unflinching. No excuses. Use that raw honesty as the starting point for real change.
So looking back at these early years,
Yeah?
it's intense.
Definitely. A volatile childhood, fear, instability, loss, academic failure, racism.
A really difficult start by any measure.
But through it all, that one theme just keeps hammering home.
Radical responsibility.
And confronting the truth, however ugly it is. That's the bedrock. That's where the Goggins we know starts to form.
So for everyone listening, it really makes you think, doesn't it? About your own bad hand. What were those early challenges for you?
Yeah, the formative stuff, the struggles that shaped you. And maybe what's the first step towards taking that Goggins-level ownership, towards building your own toughness?
It's a journey.
Absolutely. And maybe a final thought to leave people with.
Go for it.
Can you actually build real strength, true resilience, without first facing head-on some serious discomfort? Maybe even real pain. Think about it. Could those difficult early experiences you had, the ones you maybe try to forget, could they actually be untapped sources of power just waiting for you to acknowledge and use them?